What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and mostly on YouTube. Give us a like, share, hit that bell, subscribe icon with yours, Komp and
Nicholson,
as well as
Thea.
Today's film is
The House That Jack Built, 2018.
The House That Jack Built, 2018. The story follows Jack, a highly intelligent serial killer, over the course of 12 years and depicts the murders that really develop his inner madman. Directed and written by Lars von Trier. Starring Matt Dillon, Bruno Ganz, Uma Thurman, and a whole bunch of other people. So, people, why did I pick The House That Jack Built? I'm sure Thea's going to say because I'm mentally ill.
Why don't you tell me? Yatch.
Because you got good taste in movies, my friend.
So, House That Jack Built was a film I had wanted to see after I heard what the premise was, and I heard that it was so controversial and spooky and all that stuff.
Was it controversial? I thought the controversy was about him being banned from the festival.
The controversy, well, besides that, controversy obviously is that faux bullshit controversy from cons when they say people run out of theaters. Apparently that happens to every fucking movie in cons. And I remember seeing that PETA was on set. PETA... Should I say PETA, right?
Sorry, what?
PETA, P-E-T-A.
I was like, wait, who? A PETA?
PETA.
A PETA was on set?
Oh, don't tell me they really cut the duck foot off.
Obviously not if PETA... No. I'm telling you that PETA was on set to... pedophiles. PETA was there to make sure that they had it was a phony duck foot. That's why the duck didn't go insane when they cut its foot off, which was very, shocking, that scene.
Yeah, I hated that scene.
So I read about that.
I'm glad to know it wasn't real, but I assumed it wasn't real.
Of course it can. It would be another fucking... They made this movie in, some...
It'd be like that Holocaust, the whatever Holocaust movie.
Cannibal Holocaust?
Lars von Trier is a very interesting fellow in the fact that he's nuts. He's Danish, I believe. So
that explains it.
He's got a lot of things going on with him. Apparently one of the most unsettling things is, I think it was a press conference for the film Melancholia.
I read the full context, and it seems like he was just being a smartass and being...
Yeah, because he's being sarcastic about understanding Hitler. And then you see Kristen Stewart. Oh, no, Kristen... what is her name?
Kirsten Dunst.
Spider-Man. Kirsten Dunst. And she's just cringing beyond cringe. Even though we were speaking about cringe incidents before this episode, she was like, oh, like that throughout the whole thing while he was talking. And
she was like, yikes, this is going to come back to bite you.
I saw the director's cut on one of its first screenings in North America when they played it at the Alamo Drafthouse, which is a very nice theater.
Is that where we saw Midsummer?
No.
Okay.
We saw that at some ranky-dank theater in Manhattan, which is still nice.
Ranky-dank.
Which I don't know if any of them still exist anymore. But, so, apparently they got into trouble for showing the uncut version. Apparently MPAA, for some reason, still has some power about showing unrated or fucking...
Why are people so
shares and get it so easy?
Right, so they weren't supposed to show this director's cut, and the film actually took a long, long time to be released, the director's cut. I guess because it was in some sort of movie jail, which is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. Movie jail. So anyway, the movie started out with a video of Lars von Trier talking, and he was talking about, I can't even remember what he said, but at the end of it he goes, remember, not another Trump. So I guess he's not a Trump guy himself. Which is evident with people wearing red hats getting blown to smithereens in this film.
I wouldn't think that he is. I don't know why. I
feel like he's anything. He's not anything.
Although he did have a controversy with Bjork too, with a Me Too thing. So I don't know.
He sure did.
He doesn't seem like a great guy, but he also I love his movies, and I can't help it. I'm sorry.
was he being like an asshole to her and then?
No, he's I think he was sexually harassing her.
Yeah, she said when she was in one of his films, I guess. I don't know what.
Yeah, Dancer in the Dark, which is so sad. It's the saddest movie I've ever seen.
I think at the time, the press had picked up stories about her being a diva on set and her being horrible to work with and everybody hating her. And when Me Too, I think it was a few years after that movement, but she basically said, she didn't even name him, she said a Danish director, everybody knew who it was. She said he hit on me, he touched me constantly, he was all over me, and then when I tried to put boundaries in place, he basically punished me for the rest of the time, and so did everybody that was around him.
Interesting.
And that is how the story got spun, that she was like a fucking diva, is because he was like touchy-feely with her and like wanted to be all over her, and she was like, I'm not okay with that. And he was like, well, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, he doesn't
So that
seem
was-
like anybody I'd want to be friends with.
Yeah.
Bjork has an interesting history with some weird guys that bother
Yeah.
her, because especially one of the famous ones, which was comic gold, was that sick fuck with his man boobies. No offense to anybody with man boobs. I used to have them. He was
They're
upset
okay.
that she was dating an African American, or I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, the stalker guy. Oh god, that guy's crazy.
It's
Oh,
it was
God.
disturbed video of a guy. He's like normal looking, very offensive that I think it was a Latino guy, and then at the end of the video, shaves his head, paints his face red, and shoots himself under the bridge of his mouth when his top of his head dents upward.
But
And,
also, he
all those
sent
things.
a thing of acid to her
He
house,
sent a
but the
bomb,
cops
yeah.
circumvented it.
Yeah, the cops saw the video and then found out, and luckily they saved Bjork. Bjork's a weirdo. But,
Anyway,
you know,
let's talk about
But
the house that
nothing bad
Jack
She's
Jackal.
built.
like
Happen to people.
weirdo artistic, and it's like I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
people. I feel like sometimes people misconstrue that as like, oh, then you
One
must
of-
be
no, yeah, she's-
freaky.
she's-
I
Yeah,
guess,
no,
the
no,
way.
she's-
So I'm
no,
gonna be
I
really
didn't mean
fucked.
to. I didn't mean to belittle what she said she had gone through before.
Oh, no,
I was just
no,
saying that she's
but-
just a weirdo in general, and that she.
Alex doesn't respect
there's a
women,
fantastic,
especially Bjork.
There's this fantastic
Hmm.
video of Bjork. I think avoiding the paparazzi, and this one woman gets.
Oh,
too
she
close.
attacked her, yeah.
It's the funniest video. But anyway, back to Von Trier's very, I guess he's a very aloof and weird director. If that, those allegations are true, is very unfortunate. But apparently he's still working. I guess he's one of
Of
those
course.
artists like,
Untouchable.
I wouldn't put him at Polanski's level, where I don't know what's going on, but he's still working, and he's more of an auteur than he is sort of a natural director. Because I've seen films like we saw Antichrist. You
Yeah.
and I, Danny, we reviewed that. It was a fantastic film.
Dancer in the Dark is great. The one with Bjork. Not a horror
Yeah,
movie.
so he makes interesting films. His first big film, obviously, was Breaking the Waves, and his films feel more of like if you stepped into the MoMA and are watching sort of a video art installation than you are
Right.
watching a narrative. This is more of a narrative film, but it definitely
But it
has
still has elements of
asides.
that,
Absolutely,
sure.
and that's
Yeah.
and I love this movie. Which is unfortunate because it's obviously different from, I'm sure, Thea's opinion. I don't know what Danny's opinion is yet.
No, I liked
But,
it.
it stars Matt Dillon, somebody who we mostly know that he was more famous in the 80s, and obviously if you saw There's Something About Mary, he's like one of the funniest aspects about that film. He plays the asshole guy who's trying to get with Mary instead. And there's one part where he uses
What are
a
these
phrase
noises?
that's so offensive. He calls a subset of people goofy bastards. It's one of the worst things I've ever heard, but it was so funny because it's so bad. But Thea, actually, because Danny
Oh.
just might like start reading the Wikipedia to explain what the movie is. Thea,
I mean, I will
how does this movie start out?
What does that
This
mean?
movie. So nice.
Because let me do my impression of Danny. There's this guy. His name's Jack. He's talking to a ghost. That's what Danny would say. Go ahead,
It starts in the dark, and you hear just the voice of Jack and the voice of Virgil, I guess,
Verge.
talking about. You can sort of hear water. So, like, I assumed immediately that they were on their way to the afterworld.
Really?
Really? I did
Yeah.
not think that at all.
Well, just the nature of the conversation, the way that they're sort of summing up his life and how he's got there and where he has to go.
I thought it was a church confession booth.
Well, I think it's the water
with the
because,
toilet
like,
messed up or something.
I don't know. I think I just think I was like the river Styx immediately. Like
Good.
that was my brain.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
So he's sort of like telling him about his life, and he starts telling him these stories about how he murdered all these people. In I think 4 parts, something like that.
5 parts, I think.
Apparently, the
Right.
film takes place from the late 70s to the early 80s.
So he basically chooses like 4, I think, major stories of murders that he committed, of like 60 or whatever
Out of
it is
60
that he
people,
did.
correct.
Yeah.
Or 61. Or I guess it would be more after, because I'm sure he killed more people after Simple.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Um,
And he's sort of justifying it and talking about his like, philosophy and art and how it sort of justifies his work and how he felt right to do it.
To say this film is provocative is an understatement because it's very challenging. I assume to a lot of people.
Yeah, there's some fucked up stuff in this movie.
Yeah, as I was watching,
I didn't find it as challenging as some movies that I've seen. Like it didn't. It wasn't
offensive.
Me.
You mean? Was it?
It didn't shock me.
Okay.
The boob scene shocked me.
I feel like I've seen worse, and I feel like I think because it wasn't necessarily, for the most part, like, it wasn't sexual in nature. It was basically just violence.
That too.
It just didn't bother me as much as, like, it didn't, like, sting me as much as, like, things like The Nightingale, even though that works in a way for me. Like, it... Yeah.
And that was mostly off screen. What happened in Nightingale? I guess it was more
but
implied,
it's emotional.
even though you actually see it. Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting because because the thing, obviously, this guy's going to get, if you try to tackle anything regarding violence towards women, is it in a sense because the most of his characters that are killed in this film are women. Mm-hmm. And is it seen as misogynistic? Is it seen as this is the evil of men? You know, is it seen that way? So, I mean, what did you think about that?
He does kill little boys, though.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, I think because it's so, first of all, it's so cold the way, and like sort of disconnected from the victims, the way they present it. Like you don't really see what kind of people they are until like simple, sort of. Like you don't really get to sit with those characters very long, so it's just kind of like he's just killing people, kind of, to me. And also they pointed out that like Verge points it out that like it feels like because you picked like 4 women that you killed that you think are stupid, like that is what you're trying to say, is that like all women or all people but especially all women are stupid somehow, and that's why they deserve to die. Like, I think because it points that out, it's like, it doesn't feel to me like it's misogynistic. It just feels like they're pointing out the misogyny of that character who we already don't like. So it's not like we are trying to like this person.
Do you
like, we know he's bad.
Do you believe that Jack is misogynistic, or he's just, like, because he comes off as, like, this smug sort of, he thinks everything he's doing is art.
He's a super narcissist.
I do think because, well, he's absolutely a narcissist, but, like, I think it's correct to point out, like, if your character chooses only stories about the times he killed women to talk about, that is a specific narrative that they're telling.
Except for the last time where...
Yeah, he had a bunch of guys, but I don't think he actually went through with it. He jumped in the hole.
He didn't get to kill the guys.
He killed
That's really sad.
He killed 2 men. He did kill 2... you know what? That was the one that I was wanting to see. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to see that specifically.
Well, it seemed more like scientific almost. Like, it was like an experiment. Like, he wanted to sort of make it... Like, it was sort of like a weird, like, little boy thing where it's like, this thing... On the package, it says it'll go through... whatever, and you can just do it with 1 bullet, so I want to try that. Like, it felt like a little boy thing to me.
That was the point where Verge was, like, offended by it, because he figured that he was seeing that, like, when people, like, fascist nations were, like, committing, like, Holocaust and stuff like that, that was, like, a grand art piece. You know what I mean? Like, that's what was speaking to him, and Verge was like, what are you talking about? You know, what is this? So... That's an interesting take that he didn't kill the people that he was intending to kill. He killed the guy that I guess that worked with him, and then or the guy who used to, I guess, was in association with that gun store, and
Al.
the cop. Right? No, Al. He didn't kill Al.
JD or something, JP, something like that.
SP, I think it was. SP.
I don't know.
Wasn't it SP?
SP, yeah.
Letters.
So it's weird because, like, the only other film that I can sort of relate this to is obviously American Psycho, but American Psycho, there's like. Because this is like, there's no question that there's black comedy in this film. It gets less and less funnier.
There's some really funny, genius stuff in this movie.
At the beginning, there's really funny stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's straight comedy, and actually it has that, we'll get to Siobhan Fallon Hogan is an actress that I think is in every film. You know what I mean? It's like,
is that the one that he strangles?
Yeah,
that was fucking great.
There's actors that are like, she's one of those that guy actors.
Yeah,
like,
she's a character actor, 100%. And she's honest and usually a comedy.
Right, and I didn't realize that she was from Saturday Night Live. I forgot that she was.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah. Apparently, she was on with that nutcase that was there, the Veronica, whatever her name is, Victoria Jackson. But yeah. So the first murder of the film is what is it, Thea?
The first murder is good old Uma Thurman as like woman one or whatever she's
Oh,
called.
she's so annoying.
I thought that her acting in that scene was equivalent to. I don't know if you guys ever seen this movie called Predators. It starred.
Terrible spin-off of Predator. Yeah.
Yeah, the one where they go into that prison island. Or the
And like, what's his face? Lawrence Fishburne is like a crazy.
Lawrence Fishburne put in the worst acting I've ever seen in a movie in that scene. I couldn't believe
was like,
he was playing
fuck this movie.
Yeah, like he was playing like an insane person, but it was so terrible. Like, and that's what I thought about Uma Thurman here. Like, she was not that she was phoning it in, because I don't think she really.
No, I thought she did a great job as a really annoying. Like, I was rooting for her to die.
Bizarre though. The lines were so bizarre for her, like, and her acting, like she was like this waspy. And I understand why she was doing that. She was
a little bit
like she was trying to use subliminal.
Yeah, but also we're hearing
karate.
his take of it. So
right, that's true.
And he's a bizarre. Yeah. He talks all weird and shit.
Yeah, like his recollection of it could be painting it, but like I don't know that. I mean, maybe that went into her performance. It could be.
Yeah, because this film uses a lot of multimedia in it. JPEGs, very badly scanned images.
I felt like sometimes I felt like I was literally watching a fucking PowerPoint.
And
at
points it gets like that, yeah. But also I noticed the whole overall film quality is like, I don't know. It feels like almost like found footage a little bit. Like it's like. Yeah. And then, like, you know, you think of, like, Antichrist and everything is, like, so beautiful and polished, and it's, like, very different.
This feels like a lot of it is handheld and not too much improvising on it, but certainly I think he's a little looser on this film with when they speak to each other, these characters, because their edits are, like, in camera. So you actually see, like, they'll be standing one place and their chops, and they're, like, standing somewhere else in the same shot. So I think there was a lot looser, but I think that gave it this sort of weird manic energy to it.
Like a weird
it
memory
felt like
sort
right,
of
like you say, found
together.
footage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the thing about Jack himself is that he's not a sympathetic character. He's like a cartoonish villain, but he's so monotone and so like. Because the difference between that and like what I brought up American Psycho is that Patrick Bateman is funny and he's just killing sort of yuppies until he starts killing like prostitutes in the movie, and you're like, ooh. And
you're like, all right, well.
Yeah, like it's funny. It's funny in a way that the way he's just so smug and funny, and Jack is smug in a different way, but it's like a hateable smug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's just like
he thinks he's like the shit.
Yeah, he thinks that he's the king shit. Like
he reminded me a little bit of like Ash Williams' character, like a little bit, like just like that kind of like smug narcissist thing. Except obviously Ash is a good guy and this is a bad guy, but Ash is a total narcissist.
Yeah, but like Ash is like an accidental good guy for the most part.
Yeah, but he's still a pretty decent guy. Like he wouldn't do the shit that this guy's doing.
Yeah.
What?
Because it doesn't. What's the benefit?
Ash? You mean okay?
Ash, yeah.
I think about Patrick Bateman because I have the book and it's one of the.
Oh no, Patrick Bateman's a monster. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's where their sort of lines intersect is that they both try to fool people into thinking that they're regular people. So like Jack has a wall of just photographs of different people with emotions that he mimics to try to come off, but you never see that in the film. The only time he almost comes off normal is with the scenes with Simple.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting take on the material, but like I felt really bad for that first lady who chokes, and I guess he broke her neck so she couldn't move.
Right.
And he like the part where he stabs her in the heart and the blood pumps right out, and I was like, oh, like it made me actually cringe in the theater. I was like, whoa, like holy shit.
I just like his whole everything he said to get into the house was just like brilliant.
That scene is funny. Like it is like
he's like a comedy genius.
Maybe actually like kind of sad when he got over his OCD. I was like, okay, well,
right. I think it would have if they would have kept that thread going, because I've had OCD, and like seeing that part where he just kept thinking about lifting up a table,
or a picture,
and there's blood stain under it. Yeah, he comes back to the same fucking thing 3 times. I could not stop laughing in the theater because how fucking stupid it was. And
because it feels real, like that moment.
Yeah, it is.
Real.
Yeah,
it's extremely real. I've done shit like that too.
And like in a weird way, it humanizes him for a second. You sort of forget what he's doing.
Right. But like even the part where he is a madcap where he's trying to look like he's very concerned for the missing, and the cop's a fucking idiot, and the cop's like just looking and
literally so dumb.
He's like but you see the the mechanics of what he's doing. That he's trying to be overbearing.
So
to
annoying
cop.
that he'll make him go away. Yeah.
He's like, I want you to inspect this place, just to the T and stuff like that. He ties up the body and drives off, and the lady's fucking face comes off during that pavement. And then he's so lucky that the rain washes all the blood away.
Yeah,
so
he's lucky throughout the whole movie, though.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
But
and
that
when he ultimately gets
most,
caught, they're talking about a burglary. I was a little confused.
I know.
By that.
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, wait, what? But like that's
I think that's a thing
true
where
to life and how people actually get caught.
a lot of
It's
people get caught.
Fucking thing.
Well,
Right.
that's what happened with
It's
Ted
like
Bundy. He got in trouble for something that had nothing to do with his murder, and then they followed it to something else. The
BTK killer got caught because he emailed the. You know who BTK was? He was this fucking
buying
families and
buying strangle.
He got arrested because he emailed the cops, and he's mad about this to this day. He told the cops, he was like, you can't trace me through this, right? And the cops were like, no, we can't. And so he mailed the floppy disk, and they tracked him through
they get sloppy.
He's actually still upset about that to this day. So there's
I'd be
a lot
upset
of killers.
too. They lied. Why did they lie? Cops are liars.
But I was just listening to about Peter Sutcliffe was this British dude who killed. He was the Yorkshire Ripper, and he was fucking tearing women apart, and they caught him because I forgot what it was. He was drunk in the street one day, and they found him with a fucking hammer in his coat. And he had already killed 15 or 10 plus women. And he's a fuck. That's how this movie is. You get caught from doing other shit. That's like the show Mindhunters.
Yeah, I love that
fantastic show, and it won't. Yeah. It's not coming back. Fortunately,
what?
Why?
Hopefully they will.
Why?
Because of what's happening in the country, they can't hold the money and hold actors for so long without filming anything. So they said we can't do.
Wait, what's happening?
So that's
I haven't heard anything unusual this year.
Mindhunters apparently is not. Anyway, Mindhunters and Glow are not coming back. So, and two shows that I liked a lot. But hopefully, but Fincher says he hopes to bring it back one day, which is a great thing because that's a great show. But BTK was one of the main bad guys of that show, and Mindhunters had nothing to do with
Ed Kemper
that
too.
Guy. So what? The first murder is that woman, and it's a very, very funny comedic scene. It's all downhill, comic-wise. I mean, there are little funny parts later on.
I feel like the comedy goes throughout, honestly. But
I think the first two murders are
they're definitely more goofy in the beginning,
or stupid or whatever, and then it's after that it's just no, you're.
There's a scene, and I know I'm really fucked up for thinking it's so funny because I know it's really dark. But when he makes the little kid grumpy smile.
Oh God!
It's
weird.
It's so scary.
Even I was like, wow, yikes when I saw that.
It's
and that's
so bad.
You can get because having a child killed in a film is almost at least visually is almost unheard of in kind of general films because this is sort of an art house.
Legend of the evil.
That's Japan. You know what I mean? That's Japan. That's that they don't.
That movie has 50
That's a
kids
movie
dying.
Battle Royale is a movie about high school kids shooting each other on an island. They never released it here because we have that shit happen in real life. We don't need to see it in a fucking movie.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But so what is the third murder?
It's his girlfriend and her two children, who is
Oh, I didn't realize that was supposed to be his girlfriend.
I think he says that it's at the very beginning. I think.
No. It was when he's talking about having a family. Yeah.
And they're all wearing red hats, which is a very they're MAGA people. It's I don't know.
Was it supposed to be that?
Okay.
Was that really the thing?
What else do you mean by putting red hats on all of them?
I don't know. Maybe so you could see them and shoot them from far away. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing, but I think that was the sub theme about it. Right. But so he takes out that whole family. It's a very distressing scene for that poor woman, the woman who's playing that character, because Jesus Christ, she played it really well. Because she's in such shock. I think it's so. What was her name? That actress. Either way, her kids, and then that kid Grumpy. What they do to him, and
he was smiling though. He wasn't grumpy anymore.
But it was such an obvious sort of dummy, but it was still disturbing. When I saw it in the theater, because there's a part where you see him, you just see Jack is sort of obstructing the view of him, and you're like, oh, they're not going to show him, and then he steps away, and you actually see that, and you're like, holy shit! The whole theater was like, whoa, that.
And you see that? I think you see that it in the uncut and cut versions, but
I'm pretty sure I watched
they stay on it more, I think, in the uncut. You get more of a good look at it, and sort of How he does it?
In the cut version, when he blasts Grumpy's leg off, it cuts to red. Like you just see red, and then it cuts to Matt Dillon's face.
Yeah, I didn't
in the
see
version
that.
we saw, the kid turns into like a CGI dummy and flies, and his leg flies off. So it's pretty graphic. And the other kid, I don't know if they show him getting his. I don't know if they show the other kid get his brains blown out, but they show him.
Well, they show him get shot in the head, and they show him fall.
So
basically, they show all the same things, but like for less time and less.
Yeah, it's only 3 minutes. It's only 3 minutes that are cut out because, God, you know, I mean, I had to go to therapy. Were you and I, Danny? Right? It was so traumatizing what we saw of those kids being blown away. So they had to cut those 3 minutes out just for.
I almost died.
Americans. But anyway, so that's a very. Well, how would you call the interaction between Verge and Jack throughout this?
Verge was like your kind Jewish grandpa. And you're telling him all these...
Played by a German actor who was playing
there are a lot of German Jews. And who actually... He played Hitler. He played Adolf Hitler in a movie.
Yeah, Bruno Ganz's greatest achievement in life, according to the internet, is the Hitler finds out scene. So if you Google Hitler finds out...
I think I've seen it.
It's literally the greatest meme in the history of the universe because you just type anything that you want as subtitles for Hitler getting angry about something and he just yells at his crew. I mean, there's a YouTube channel called The Silver Universe where they just created a whole lore and it's just the adventures of Hitler. It's just so fun because they cut them out of the scenes and have them in bad animation and stuff. And it's not a pro-Nazi thing.
How do you find this shit?
Funniest thing in the history of the world, and it's not pro-Nazi. Fuck Nazis. So that is Bruno. So their sort of interaction with each other is very academic. I'm glad watching it this time there were subtitles when I saw it because I missed a lot when I first saw it. Because not that Verge's accent is so thick that you can't make it out.
It's so
there's
cute.
There's certain non-English words that he uses that I didn't pick up the first time.
Yeah.
Based on because his character I didn't miss that his character is Virgil. And I'm not aware of most Greek, history and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's supposedly this Greek poet that lived from a certain timeline, and he wrote this play, and they directly reference that. Right. So he is, I guess,
the Elysian Fields thing.
Yeah, and
that's also like a Greek myth thing.
Yeah, that I was aware of. I wasn't too much sure about what it was about, but
it's heaven basically.
There's a definitive break in this film. What was the fourth murder? Simple, right?
Yeah.
That's Simple. I thought you were saying the murder was Simple. I was like, no, that's
played by Riley Keough, and she's a very sympathetic
Elvis
character.
Presley's like granddaughter or something, I think.
So I assume that her character Simple is because her parents were named Simple. I hope that's what it was, and he's just calling her stupid.
No, he's just making fun of her.
Stupid. Her name is Jacqueline.
Yeah, no, I thought her name was Jacqueline Simple. That's what I thought.
I think he's just making fun of her.
He's just being an asshole. He's just being.
He's very mean.
Yeah, he's
very mean because she's. But unfortunately, she's like a lot of people who are in shitty relationships where they'll take shit. There's just a lot of people. I've been one of those people. I'm sure Danny's been. Danny's the opposite side. He's an asshole.
Yeah, I've usually been like Jack on that end. Well, no, I was a pretty horrible boyfriend, but I was never as bad as this.
No.
So that's a gigantic litmus.
And this is when I was a lot younger. I've grown a lot as a person.
He's a man.
So that's a gigantic litmus test scene for people if they think this is a misogynistic film or not, because of what happens to her and their interaction and how he feels so superior over her, but you don't know it's because she's a woman or because she's stupid. But he does say because they're weaker and they're easier to kill. And it's interesting because Lars von Trier's other films, obviously like Antichrist, the woman in that film is the one that deals out the violence in the movie. It's really fucking graphic violence.
They also showed Antichrist in this movie. There's a quick...
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that. But with Antichrist, a lot of people... Because I saw a little documentary that was made for the film itself, and the film was produced by women, Antichrist. And it is about this woman who has lost her mind because her child died, and she had studied witches, and she saw how horrible men treated women.
Right.
And I guess she just sort of... And the question is, are women inherently evil, or, because of the shit that men do to women? I'm just saying from the documentary. Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Danny. Finish the thought.
But
then also he made a film called Nymphomaniac, which was a two-parter, where it was about a woman who was a nymphomaniac and she was sleeping around. So you can't really, you don't know what this guy's deal is. Like, Why is he, you know?
Who knows?
And that's just how the world is nowadays. Like, if you do anything
Listen,
that seems even,
I get that, like, people are bad in real life and that you want to cancel them, but I like his art. And I know that's controversial to like a bad person's art, but I do.
I don't believe in that cancel
No, man.
culture
Look,
shit. But,
I think it's interesting to watch this movie.
People
and
should
think
be held
about
to
the way that
task,
he
for
talks
sure.
about misogyny in this movie.
Yeah.
Against that story from Bjork, like, and I don't know what version of anything is true, but like, it's interesting that I don't know. Maybe he's picking things up slowly. Who knows?
People learn shit. Like I said, I used to be a pretty terrible person when I was younger, and I mean, I still am, but I've gotten better. So
I wonder what Danny's up to. What is Danny doing? But and then the fifth is the attempted murder of, I think it was 6 or 8 guys that are tied up to each other in his. Throughout the film he has this locker. He's bought this I guess it used to be a pizzeria or something like that, or a back place of a pizza place, and yeah. So yeah, it's in the freezer where he keeps all these corpses. I think that was you think it was they did this after Hannibal? You think?
After Hannibal?
The TV show.
It happened in 2018.
Yeah,
it was the body house. It's very much. I was like, oh yeah, because I instantly thought about the tower of dead bodies on the beach in Hannibal. But I don't know how long the concept of this film is, because if the fucking movie is called The House That Jack Built and he's building a house of people, I would think he did that a long time ago. But you never know. I don't know. You never know how long a film takes from process to end.
I think it was like 2 years or something.
Right.
So
I was
I'm not sure. I was
reading a bit about it.
I think it just happened to be like one of those issues where there's 2 meteorite films.
Yeah, look, development. Von Trier
I don't think he like watched Hannibal and was like, oh, I'm going to incorporate this in my story. I think it was just like probably something wasn't on his radar, and he just like.
Originally, this was supposed to be a TV series. In February 2016, he announced it would be a film.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is very interesting, because I almost would have preferred to see it. That, yeah, in a TV form.
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did hear about that. Also.
It could be cool. Because like a short-run TV series.
Here's the thing with that is that
I just keep thinking about this movie. It's so good.
I did. Poor Thea. But here's how maybe we'll convince Thea by the end of the episode. But hold on, when you give auteur directors their own sort of whatever they want to do, like obviously you see Twin Peaks: The Return. That was fucking great. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved whenever I didn't have to see fucking the simple version of
Dougie.
I couldn't stand that. I wanted fucking
Dougie's like the whole show.
I know, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand him.
I love Dougie
because I wanted to see the main guy. I wanted to see Cooper, but Cooper.
My favorite episode is the one where the God of Light, where it shows the birth of Bob. It's so good.
Look, I liked Dougie, but he was there too long, man.
Yeah, no, Dougie. I mean, Dougie was frustrating, and then he gets his.
Welcome.
Thea, my argument why they didn't do it with my argument, but I mean my reasoning is that Cooper would have solved the fucking thing.
They had too many fucking episodes is what the problem was.
Cooper's fair enough. But that is a show by an auteur and weirdness, and I would have welcomed that from this guy. But also another show that was done by an auteur that was you either love it or you fucking hate it was Nicholas Winding Refn's Too Old to Die Young.
I don't know that.
I guess you guys don't know. It's on. I think it's on. I don't know if it's on Prime. It is. I mean, if you want to see somebody, if they handed a guy like $30 million to make a show and he's a weirdo, that's that show. Because there are levels of fucking brilliance in that show, but then there's like the last episode is a half an hour that has nothing to do with the rest of the show. So it's just like that. So it's. I welcome that. I want to see directors.
I like the weirder
even though
the
it's
better,
almost
honestly.
like I enjoy Marvel shows, but like I'm not getting artistic sort of fucking. It's gonna sound so weird saying this. Artistic nourishment. Oh God, that's so pretentious. But you know, when you see a movie like that, like you.
Fuck.
I'm throwing up, guys.
You artsy, fartsy, pretentious snob.
No, I agree. It's nice to see when somebody has like a unique like vision and it's fully realized because they had their hand in every single part of it. It's wonderful.
This movie brings up a lot of questions about not only the director himself, but also the character and what we're witnessing and what is the movie trying to say. Mm-hmm. Were there things that you thought it was going one way, then it went another way. What do you think, Danny, the message of the film is? Like, do you think there's a message to it? What do you think the film is about? Because it's obviously about arts, and the three of us are like artists.
Oh, I'm so bad with this kind of shit. Well, for one thing, his narcissism does him in at the end because he thinks he's like, invulnerable, and then he falls into the deepest pit of hell, which is pretty great. Yeah. Because you think he's going to get away with it, but he doesn't.
And that he wasn't the first one to do it.
If he hadn't turned off that siren in that cop car, it would have just maybe have gotten away with it all. Well, not really.
No, he wouldn't have gotten away with it, but he would have killed those guys.
But he knew he was caught, so it didn't.
But
I gotta say, it didn't matter.
And Thea, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think what was the gist of this film to you? You didn't like it, right? Well, what are your thoughts? We can attack you.
Thea's a misandrist. She hates men.
I hate it. I hate all men.
Thea is here because she is a POC. She represents POC, people of Canada. So
oh God,
come on, Thea.
Go ahead, guys.
I'm conflicted about this movie because I liked parts of it, which is why I feel like I would have been interested to see it as a series and see sort of
what made it not work
developed
for you?
In that way. It felt very Hannibal to me in more than one place, like in the sort of way that he's talking about it, and the philosophy talk, and the psychology of it, and the art of it, and especially the house, obviously. But it felt disjointed to me, and I know that's his style in a lot of films, and so that's a totally valid style. It just isn't something that I respond to. I think it would have been stronger if we could have seen the journey through hell and those conversations pieced throughout rather than just a big block at the end where we see all the visuals. Like, I feel like it just would have felt like a more interesting full movie if I had not been watching PowerPoints throughout the middle of between each chapter of it, essentially. Like, it just it didn't sell that to me. It didn't sell those arguments and those philosophies and those ideas.
Those PowerPoint parts to me, like the the deer hunting and stuff like that, and the wine grape stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever read. I think you have both read the books by what the hell is the guy who wrote Fight Club? You know his name.
Choked. All that. I know.
Chuck Palahniuk.
Yep.
Chuck Palahniuk. Like he does that in his books where.
Yeah. No, I love that kind of stuff. That's exactly.
It drives me nuts sometimes. He'll write a book. I remember reading a book called, I think it was Lullaby. It was about people that die in a certain weird sort of curse or something like that. And he will go in a whole section explaining something clinically that has nothing to do with it. Maybe he does, actually. This part, he explained clinically when a person burns why their bodies sort of turn into a U shape. Like, they look like they're sort of cradling into themselves. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, he didn't have to, but he went in complete detail about it. And that's what I felt like in this film. Like, they'll go on a tangent that explains something else, and it's sort of does go hand in hand in what the film is about, because obviously he's talking about wine grapes. I forgot what the correlation was with the movie.
Because he was talking about 3 ways that they decompose.
He loves hearing himself talk so much that he'll just talk about anything because he thinks he's like the shit.
Hears himself.
And I think those moments are totally valid. I don't know. Yeah. And like, it's interesting. Those ideas in and of themselves are very interesting. I would rather see him telling it and the listener listening to those stories than watching images of grapes. Like, it doesn't sell it. Like, it doesn't tell me that story. It feels like I'm just being talked at. And which I understand is like, it's part of the movie, but I'm like, it doesn't. It would be more interesting psychologically to look.
Yeah, but that's what it would feel like if you were friends with him. He would just be talking at you all the time.
But I would be seeing his face. I wouldn't be seeing grapes.
The thing is, I think I felt I appreciated that because it was a divergent visual from the film. Like, the film was like, we're looking in this guy's. The thing is, I still don't know anything about Jack after the film, and it's like, because Jack is
a narcissist.
Like in these sort of serial killer films, like the only serial killer films were like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is fucking yikes. That movie, it was a great movie, but it was like yikes watching that. And and he's so deliberately like mute and not talking. Usually, and maybe it's weird saying that, but when they make a protagonist in a film who's / antagonist, like a serial killer, their victims are usually asking for it in a sense. That is a horrible phrase
Yeah.
to say, but they're like asking.
Were
Because
they?
they want
Okay.
you. They want you to be like, oh, they deserve.
Why were you?
like,
Why were you wearing that
none of-
dress?
only one character in Henry was asking for, was the asshole in the chop shop, which led to the funniest death on in the theater when they break the TV on his head. But like American Psycho, it's a lot of yuppies, and then it gets serious when he's killing sort of random women that have nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
But you still sort of root for Patrick in American Psycho because you want to see the level of insanity. In here, I didn't feel like rooting for Jack. I like when I wanted to see him shoot those groups of guys. I didn't like what he did to Simple. I felt bad for that lady that he choked.
There was a really
So it's
scary
like-
scene in that scene also when he's like pretending to sleep, and she sees that he cut the wire
she's
or
trying to
whatever.
escape. Yeah.
Right. Because the thing is, Jack is still like an empty vessel. Like there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And he's been telling you that throughout the whole film, so you don't really root for him. You sort of, what I was talking to Danny is we saw this movie called what was it called? Sleep Tight. That movie about this creep that was like a doorman.
Oh
at a
yeah.
hotel.
You do not watch that movie, Thea.
Thea, it's a fantastic movie. I don't know if you
Nah, there's a lot of rape.
want to take a bath
Don't
after
watch
watching it.
Oh yeah.
But it's not. You don't see a lot of it, but it's still anyway.
Yeah,
but there's a
disturbing.
scene where he's trying to get out of an apartment, and you're like, oh shit, is he gonna get out of his apartment? You know, once you find out what he's done after, you're like, oh fuck, he should have got caught in that scene. But it's weird because you almost are naturalistically rooting for the main character of the film, even though they're doing these horrible things to people.
But it's because that's the person you're with the whole time.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the story that you're following.
Yeah.
So to see Jack go through that, you're like, but the thing is, I never felt like good or bad for this character. I was just like, he's sort of here. He's not.
I mean, I was annoyed by him. I was frustrated by him for long periods of the movie because I was like, oh god, I gotta listen to all your bullshit about all the stuff you're talking about. And I know like it serves that purpose, but it's also like, oh god.
Because I don't know if it's Matt Dillon's performance, because I think he's really good in the film. Like, obviously, if you saw There's Something About Mary, like, his performance is great about it. And he seems to be one of those underrated actors. But he's very good in it, but it's just like he's playing such a crocodile tier guy. Do you know what I mean? Just like...
Yeah, very cold and detached. But also, like, very, like weirdly intrigued by things, and... Like, it reminded me of Hannibal in a lot of ways, but, like, but less...
No, this is way... I don't know. Hannibal has, like, a very, like, dark, serious feel to it, and it's, like, a little pretentious. This is just, like, funny. This is, like, funny and also just, like, dark.
Okay, so is this as pretentious as season 3 as Hannibal? Because that was...
well, no, nothing's as pretentious as that, but...
No, but I mean, the overall vibe of Hannibal is, like, very, like, up its own ass. This is, like, not... I don't get that feeling. Like, I get the feeling about Jack himself, but not the feeling of the movie. The movie is, like, funny and, like, goofy, but also really
parts
fucked
of his
up.
own movies in a part that's talking about, like, art and
that
genius
was
and stuff.
like...
So it's
I remember I was
a little
at the theater with my
pretentious in
friend,
moments.
and I was looking at my friend, and I was like, this guy just showed his old fucking reel in the
Yeah,
movie.
he
I was
sure
like,
did.
Please.
He's like, remember when I made this? I don't know. There are moments of it where I'm just like, this doesn't feel like good storytelling to me.
Okay.
It's just not my. It's not my style. That's all.
Okay.
And it's to each
Yeah,
their own.
it's
you know?
cinema. I guess cinema verite. I guess it's a very different style of film. It's not. It's not a B, and C type of the way the story is told. And there's not a lot of films like that. Obviously, you can look at film like Christopher Nolan's movie, the one about the guy who
Memento.
forgets who he is. Memento, right?
Yeah.
And that's not normal, but it's still in the sort of framework of a Hollywood film. But this isn't. This is just like. I mean, we know that there's something going on with Jack, and he goes. It's very
Just the
linear.
part when he hits the old lady and mentions that it adds an element of comedy. Like, I don't know. It's just brilliant. He's brilliant. It's a brilliant movie.
But it's not consistent, I think, is my thing.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like he's consistently delivering those notes.
I'm gonna have to say that you're wrong.
It just feels frustrating. It's frustrating for me to watch when it's someone who has those elements that feel really strong in parts, and it doesn't feel like it satisfies necessarily. But it's still valid as, like, it's good art, obviously, because it makes me think and talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Right. When it does get creepy, though, it's actually really fucking unsettling.
Yeah.
Stuff that probably is not... Because it doesn't settle on creepy for too long. Like, the stuff with Grumpy is creepy, but it's done in a comedic way. Mm-hmm. But, like, when he takes the photo of the First Lady... and it shows the negative, and it just stays on that for a while, and you just hear the sound of the footage, and I was like, ooh, like that, and then it goes back to that at the very end when he falls into the very bottom of hell. So let's go into the break of reality in the last part of the film. I think obviously he must have gotten shot through the hole in the door, and that's when he.
Yeah, I was wondering if he actually died or if he just went into a portal.
I'm thinking he's dead, and that's the rest of it.
So the cops are gonna go in and find a corpse.
I know how the cops just shoot through a hole.
I think he died. Like I think he died in that spot in the house.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But like the fact that the cops just shoot through a hole without saying anything. It's just
although
like
there's also an argument to be made that like he died even before he made the house, like
because he saw Verge. Yeah.
Because he finally opens that door.
Oh.
Because I mean, Verge is also a break in reality too.
Yeah.
Because he could be.
Well,
like,
and he had never been able
room,
to open that door in the freezer, and then suddenly
right.
he's able to open it when he's trying to do. He's trying to get enough
he's never used that tube of metal to fucking try that before.
And like you don't think about it that it just suddenly opens.
Right.
But then that's sort of the gateway into that other space.
He broke it with that copper or whatever that whole thing was. But okay, so let's go for the last 20 minutes, which fucking gorgeous. Like, because the film doesn't prepare you for that. I
didn't expect it to go Dante's Inferno on me.
Because it's the film is
I think
very
I'd
much
seen images of the painting mock-up and everything, so I sort of knew that was happening.
It's sort of very familiar territory in the way how it's shot. It's very cleanly and crisply shot, good-looking film. Besides the sort of JPEGs and whatever fucking vintage
and the weird we put
footage.
These actors in a literal cavern.
Yeah, but then at the end when they're referencing paintings and stuff like that, like when they're going into hell, like we're in that little boat and you hear that music and it's like that's a famous painting. I'm trying to think of what the hell it was called, but either way, like it's so gorgeous. The stuff of hell and stuff, and like I would want to see a movie about hell that this guy makes.
Yeah,
it's so intriguing. Like when you hear this like unsettling word, like this sort of creepy screeching, they say that's all the voices in hell screaming in torment. I was like,
yeah, that's the sound. Like, that's like the unified sound of like punishment and torment going on.
Even when they're in their goofy bubbles, falling down and stuff like that. It's like a video game, like Mario Brothers or something. And then when they're underwater, when they're in the Elysian fields. And you can see that's the only time Jack was happy when he was a child.
Right.
Well, he cut off a duck's fucking foot when he was a child. Damn it, I hated that scene.
And that was a fantastic casting of that kid, because that kid's eyes were like fucking black as night. Like,
so
he just looked
brutal.
So unsettling. But when he looks out that field and he sees those guys, even though they mispronounce Scythe, drove me nuts. Like so gore. Like when they were going in through the tunnels under the water and stuff like that. Do you think Virgil? Because when I first saw the film and I was like, Virgil was like, you can cross that, but nobody's made it. Like I sort of thought that he was saying that, like he was tricking Jack into do that. But on second time, I didn't really feel like. I don't think Virgil was like. Damning.
I think it was like a test.
Yeah, I don't think he's tricking him. I think he's like, based on what I know of you, I already know you're going to make this decision. I will tell you that people have tried it and no one has fucking made it. And I know that saying that makes you want to do it more because you're a narcissist.
Yeah, I
you're
read
like,
it.
I will be the exception.
Yeah, because I thought Virgil was just being a tricky little bastard the first time, but then I was like, what does he really have to lose?
He's a kindly Jewish angel, man.
He would love to be proved wrong, and for him to have had a moment of.
I think he's Greek, Danny. I don't think he's Jewish because he's supposed to be the Virgil, but Danny's like Jewish.
No. Please let me get some representation in a movie. Let me.
Here we go. If you feel remorse about it, you throw yourself in, right? You don't bother.
But then they obviously do, like when he's climbing, and the thing is, you almost like, I want to see what's up those staircases. I want to see.
Well, it takes you out of hell. You go back to the Elysian fields. But
also, you know he's not going to make it.
Right, because you just watch, and it's an intense scene because the last lines in the film are like, "Bye, Verge, bye, Jack," and then he's just like climbing on the wall, and you just watch because like, what is he gonna do it? Because you don't know, and like, I don't know what. The movie was already like fucking 900 hours long when I saw it in the theater, so I don't know how more long.
I think it's like 2.5 hours. This episode is 900 hours. Holy shit!
It is.
But like and then when he falls to hell, and then it just freezes on the same sort of photographic thing, like when he killed the first lady, and turns into a negative of it.
Yeah.
And it just goes right into hit the road, Jack. You're like, oh, okay. So you're like, what the hell is this about? But I don't know. I fucking really like the movie. The fact that I saw it a second time, the director's cut fully, I was like, well, I'm all about this. Just in the way that it was done. I'm not clear on the messaging of it. I think it was just an interesting portrait of an uninteresting person that does really horrible things, and he tries to justify his existence by doing these horrible things, and he's a smug, artistic asshole. And to me, that there's a secondary sort of comedic value to it because it's an artist guy who thinks he's so fucking smug. What he's doing is just funny to see somebody like that.
The way that you know people like that talk about art in that way.
Oh my god!
Like,
we know a lot of pretentious people.
Yeah.
And it's really.
We were just talking about that actually. We were talking about art school days.
Oh yeah.
Reminiscing about like stupid people.
There, huh?
Oh, horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. But I visually I thought it was fucking great. Even the PowerPoint stuff I thought worked. I definitely know that there's something uneven about the film itself. I definitely noticed I can't like pinpoint it. Maybe it just be small parts of some things, but I think as a whole, what the film is, the type of film that it is, and how it was handled, because I'm watching it as it's an art piece. I'm not watching it as a film, which is a different way of watching this type of film. Not saying that's the right way to do it or what.
No, it's fair.
Because film people have to see a film depending on how they want to watch it. And I knew coming in that this wasn't going to be a standard sort of film, but I thought it fucking worked. What ratings would you guys give this, Danny?
Oh, I have to start? I give this... See, I don't want to give it a perfect 10, because, like, yeah, there's, like, some issues, but, like...
You can give it whatever you feel. Come on.
Thea, I'm so tired of your guilt.
Come
Danny,
on.
did you find humor in the breast on the windshield at all?
A little bit, actually. I think I'm just a fucked up person. In any case, I'm going to give this a 9.25 out of 10. Not having the heart to get rid of your girlfriend Simple's other breast, so you turned it into a nice nipple wallet.
Oh yeah, that's a reference.
Little tasteful accessory.
That's a reference to Gyn. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right, Thea.
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, harsh.
Going back the 80th time, even though you can hear police sirens, to just find that piece of blood that is not there for the last time. Out of 10.
I would give it a 10 out of 10. Just hanging out with your ghost of a Greek poet in the afterlife and not listening to him and falling into the depths of hell. I think it might have been, along with Suspiria, my number one film of that year, of 2018. The fact that it came out so later was there's a lot of interesting movies that came out in 2018. But with that, Thea, what's the final word?
Gain.
Oh, Hereditary came out that time. Danny!
Oh, Hereditary is the best movie of the year.
Not to step over your phrase, yeah. Danny, what's the final word?
B-roll.